Governor Mike Klein with the Georgia Public Policy Foundation. I'd like to ask questions on two topics. The first is juvenile justice reform. This week during an Atlanta speech, you indicated an interest in expanding digital learning into the juvenile sector. Could you talk also about what else you'd like to see done in regards to digital learning and other issues in the juvenile sector?
Yes, that's a very good question. The question related to digital learning and how we expect to use it. I used it as an illustration of our Youth Challenge program, which we do through our National Guard. We have two facilities, one at Fort Gordon and one at Fort Stewart, where young men and women who are on the verge of being in trouble are sent, and they go in a voluntary fashion. And my wife Sandra became concerned as she spoke at the graduation ceremony of one of these that many of these young people are not being allowed to have a high school diploma. They're getting only a GED. And it was only those who came from the immediate area where the institution was located, either Richmond County or down in the Hinesville area, that actually got a high school diploma. So we have engaged a private company that is going to be a charter school, a digital charter school that will assume the responsibility of teaching in that environment. We believe it is also the kind of thing that could be translated into use in these facilities as well. But on a broader scope of education in general, we have a digital task force that has been formed this year. They will be exploring more ways to be able to use digital learning and make it available throughout our state. I truly believe that may be one of the real secrets to unlocking the disparity in educational opportunities across our state, is if we can expose children, no matter where they live, to excellent teachers and excellent outside material by way of digital environment, then I think it will change and transform the way that we teach. And we look forward to that in the future. Thank you for your question.
This week, the state and a private company announced a venture that could bring more than 2,000 jobs to North Georgia, which has had its challenges since the recession. What was the role of economic incentives in making that project happen? And I wonder specifically, would the project have happened at all without economic incentives?
Well, I'm not sure whether the project would have happened at all. We think that the incentives did play a factor in it. And Bob Shaw, of course, has been one of the real pioneers in the flooring industry in our state. And he and I had a conversation actually after I was elected, but before I took office, in which I understood he was contemplating expanding his operation. And so we talked about what will it take to make sure that your expansion occurs in Georgia. As a result of that conversation, one of the things he suggested was that if we could remove the sales tax on energy that is used for manufacturing. His recommendation, coupled with the recommendations that came out of our competitiveness initiative, was that that became reality in the tax reform package of 2012. I believe that was a major inducement because, as you know, energy costs for manufacturing of any type are usually a very large component of the overall cost of the product. We, of course, have tax incentives for new jobs that are created, and this operation and this expansion and new plants that we anticipate are going to be built, they will take advantage of it because they will be able to create new jobs. And the Department of Economic Development played a very active role in the negotiations with regard to this announcement. And I want to pay a special tribute to Mike Babb for his role as the County Commission Chairman here in Whitfield County. He worked with our Department of Economic Development. Brian Anderson from the Chamber of Commerce locally was very involved and active in this whole negotiation process. We do think that we're doing the right thing in Georgia to attract more manufacturing, and we're seeing it across the board. To have this in Northwest Georgia is huge because this part of the state has an unusually high unemployment rate, almost 2% above the state average. So that's good news, and we believe we are doing the right things by way of incentives to make this happen and hopefully future manufacturing jobs all across our state. Thank you for your question. And I apologize, I'm going to have to run because we do have several stops here in Northwest Georgia today. Let me thank you all again for being here. This is a great crowd, a great support for what we're trying to do, and I appreciate it. Thank you.